Hello everyone, welcome to our session in genetics. And today we are going to see Mendelian genetics. Before we start or before we move on to the different laws which was proposed by laws and principles that are proposed by Mendel, we'll just have a quick recap of the different terms which we came across in the genetic terminology, their descriptions, etc. And we'll just move on to the Mendelian genetics. So in Mendelian genetics, what we are going to see is the different laws which is being put forward by Mendel, the law of unit characters, law of dominance, the law of segregation, and law of independent assortment. After which we'll be seeing the other different crosses, which are test crosses, back cross, and reciprocal cross. So before we begin with Mendelian laws, we'll just have a recap of the terminologies. First, we'll see what is a gene. So gene is nothing but the small portion of DNA that codes for a protein, which is considered to be the basic unit of inheritance. So if you take a DNA as if this is a DNA or this is a long stretch of chromosome, so this much portion can be considered as a gene, and this is the region. So this is a region or a portion of a gene which will code for a protein. That means it will make the mRNA and this mRNA into a protein. So this is what a gene means. So the entire DNA may not be a gene. They are sections or regions in a long stretch of DNA or a chromosome which has the capacity to code for proteins. So the particular portions which have the capacity to code for proteins, that means to produce an mRNA, it is called as a gene, and it is considered to be the basic unit of inheritance. Coming to the second terminology, it is allele or allelomorph. So they are the alternate forms of genes, and they are also considered to be the alternate forms of a particular characters, and they are usually present in homologous chromosomes at the corresponding loci. So if you take two homologous chromosome, for example, take it as chromosome number 1 of humans. So if this is the chromosome 1 of a particular person in one of its somatic cell, and these are the chromosome number 1s, this might have been inherited from his father, and this might have been inherited from the mother, and hence these are called as the homologous chromosome. And alleles are, so this is the entire chromosome, and I am marking here two positions which are almost the same. Consider these as the same size. They will be of the same size, the same length, etc. So if this is that particular position, and this particular position in both the homologous chromosome, there is a gene for hair color, and that is what is called as the corresponding loci. They will be seen at the correct loci or the same positions in the homologous chromosome. If this position, I mark it as position number 100. If it is at the 100th position, here also in this particular chromosome at position number 100, you will have the same gene which is of hair color. And alternate form means the hair color might be of different, hair color is the gene, and the alternate forms may be the different colors that may be expressed from the gene, from the hair. That means the hair may be having different shades from black. It might be brown. It might have shades of, or it might have been white color, etc. So that is the alternate forms of a particular gene. For example, if you take the color of a flower, if there are two colors for the flower, red as well as white, these are the flower color is the gene, and the alternate forms are red and white. So that is what is called as alleles or allelomorphs. Next is dominant and recessive alleles. So that is determined, or if you call an allele as a dominant or a recessive only after conducting crosses. So if you do a cross and a particular character or a particular feature you see in the offspring, and the particular character that is shown in the offspring is called as the dominant allele, and that is masked in the particular offspring is called as the recessive allele. So, in Mendelian representations, dominant allele is usually represented by capital letters, capital alphabets, and recessive alleles are usually represented by small letters. So that is dominant and recessive allele. So whatever character is expressed in the generation after a particular cross, expressed in the offspring, that is considered to be dominant by Mendel. So Mendel called it as the dominant character or the dominant feature or the dominant allele which is being expressed in the next generation. The one which is not being expressed is called as the recessive allele. Coming to wild and mutant alleles, a particular allele or a particular character, if it is most prevalent in a population, that is called as wild type allele. For example, hair color. In our population, in Kerala population, the normal hair color is black, and that is considered to be wild type. So whatever is seen prevalent in a population is called as the wild type. For example, the skin color. So skin color, we cannot demarcate it as dark shades or white shades. There are different shades in skin color. So you can see a particular variant of skin color in our Kerala population, and that variant, because skin color, as I said, you cannot clearly say it as black and white. There are ranges of gray between this black or dark color and white color. So all those belongs to the wild type of skin color, and mutant in this cases is mutant is the one which is rarely found in the population. Okay, for example, if you take the skin color, the people which are having which the people which are albinos, that means their skin does not produce melanin. As a result, their skin will be completely white in color, etc. That is a particular deformity or a disorder which is called as albinism. So when you have a normal skin color, at times you have something which is not common in the population. So that uncommon thing or the particular character which rarely appears in a population, it might be a disorder, it might be normal also. So something which appears uncommon in a population is called as a mutant allele. The one character or the trait which is common is called as a wild type allele. Coming to the other terminologies, genotype and phenotype. So the character or the feature that is seen with our eyes, that is the observable characters or the external appearance of an organism, is called as a phenotype. For example, the color of the flower that you see, the color of the skin, the color of the hair, etc. What can be seen with our eyes is called as a phenotype. The genetic constitution of the organism is called as the genotype. So what is in the genes, it is called as the genetic constitution, whether it is a dominant allele, whether it is a recessive allele, etc. So that is what is called as the genotype. So genotype in Mendelian crosses, it is represented in capital and small letter. That capital when it is dominant and small letter when it is recessive. So next is homozygous and heterozygous. So in diploid organisms, the genes usually have two alleles. Most of the genes are having two alleles in a diploid organism. And if the alleles of a gene are identical in an organism, it is said to be homozygous. That means if both the alleles are dominant, they are called as homozygous. If both the alleles are recessive, they are called as homozygous. So the only condition for homozygous is both the alleles should be the same. That means both the alleles should be having, or both the alleles should have the capacity to produce the same trait. That means if you take the hair color, if one allele produces black hair color, the other allele also should produce black hair color. The other allele is for white. The second allele should also produce white color. So that is what is called as homozygous condition. Homozygous can be homozygous dominant as well as homozygous recessive. In both the cases, you can have homozygosity. The only condition is the alleles should be same in the homologous chromosome. And the next thing is the heterozygous. If the alleles are different, which are seen in an organism, it is called as organism, or in the homologous chromosome, it is said to be heterozygous. So heterozygous means in heterozygous condition, one of the allele will be dominant and the other one will be recessive. Such conditions are called as heterozygous condition. And a homozygous, an organism which is having a genotype which is homozygous for a particular allele will produce only one type of gamete because both are the same. An organism which is heterozygous for a particular gene will produce two types of gametes because it is having a dominant allele as well as a recessive allele. Next is the three types of crosses that we will come across in genetics. Monohybrid cross. So monohybrid cross is nothing but it involves the crossing when we consider only one pair of contrasting character. That means if we are going to conduct a cross, and there are many features in a plant. There is a seed color, seed coat, then the height of the plant, etc. So there are many characters in a plant, but when you conduct a cross, and we are only interested in looking onto the flower color. The rest, whatever may be, we are going to look only to the flower color. What happens to the flower color? We are going to cross two colored flowers. One plant is white and the other plant is red. You are going to cross it, and in the successive crosses, we will be observing only the color of the flower. The other things may change. We won't take it into consideration. We will be looking only with the flower color. Such a type of cross is called as the monohybrid cross, where we are interested only in a pair of contrasting characters, how they will be expressed in the next generations. The same with the dihybrid cross. So in a dihybrid cross, rather than interested or rather than considering a pair of character, we will be looking for two pairs of characters for say flower color. So for flower color, we take we'll have two contrasting characters, red color and white color. Plus we are looking onto the color of the shape of the seed. If we are looking onto the shape of the seeds, whether it is round or whether it is wrinkled. So at a particular cross, we are interested to look two characters. We are ignoring all the other characters. All other characters are present in the plant, but we are not going to observe the changes in that particular cross. So we are interested only in two pairs of characters. Such a cross is called as a dihybrid cross. If we are going to see, or if we are going to consider more than two uh, characters or contrasting pairs in a particular cross, that is called as polyhybrid cross. So last is the genome. So sum total of the genes present in a haploid set of chromosomes is called as the genome. So why here the term, or what is to be remembered in the definition of a genome is the haploid set. So haploid set is nothing but you know that we are diploid. We are talking about the case with humans. We are diploid organism. We have two sets of chromosomes. That means we are having one set which is derived from the father, the other set which is derived from the mother. So we are having two sets of the same type of chromosome. So they are different because you get it different from two different individuals. But the genes present in one set is same with the other set. That means if if I'm dividing our haploid set as 22 and 23 and 23, one is from the paternal side, and this is from the maternal side, from the mother. So this together constitute our complete set of 46 chromosome present in our cells. So what happens is the genes which is present in, so this 23 is one haploid set and the other 23 is the other haploid set. So what comes in the definition, it is a sum total of genes which is present in the haploid set of chromosome. So why you take haploid and not considering 46? The reason is that the genes which is present in this 123 is the same with the other 23. So if you take the entire number, the calculation of the sum of genes will be misleading, because what the genes which is present in one of the 23 chromosome is present in the other. As we said in the description of homologous or description of alleles, when the alternate forms of genes are present in two different chromosomes. So you have only one gene, but its forms are present in two different chromosomes. So if you consider, if you are going to take the number of genes in a particular cell, and if you count the number of alleles, what happens is you are going to take a gene in duplicate. Is that clear? If you take the entire the genes present in the entire 46 chromosome, if I am going to count in a genome, if I am going to represent the genome and I'm going to count all the genes which is present in 46 chromosome, what I do is I will be duplicating the number of genes. Okay, because in one homologous pair, I take one gene of hair color, the other homologous chromosome, I am marking it as number 2 if I am counting every chromosome. So to take the number of genes which is present in a particular organism, in diploid organism, you need to take only one set, the genes present in one set. That is the definition, and that is what is to be made clear here. So genome means it is a sum total of genes in a particular organism. So in a diploid organism, you get the total number of genes in that organism if you take a haploid set. If you go for the diploid number of chromosome, you will be duplicating the entire genes. That is the difference. So if you to get the correct number of how many genes is present in human cells, you have to count the number of genes in 23 chromosomes. Is that clear? So that is why the definition given for genome is given in such a manner. It is a sum total of genes present in the haploid set of chromosome. Hope it is clear. So now we are moving, so these are the different terminologies that we have to be discussed in this particular session. And now we are moving on to, directly moving on to the Mendelian genetics. So we'll deal with Mendelian genetics, or we'll start with the Mendelian genetics in the next video.